Hello! Today's tutorial is on triangle pose Trikonasana. So this pose, it stretches out the hamstrings and adductors, involves hip flexion, it strengthens the knees and the ankles, and involves also a side bend. So let me start first with a demonstration of this pose. With the right leg that is pointing to the front, and then the left leg that is at a 90-degree angle relative to the right leg. So the right heel is actually aligned with the arch of the left leg to the middle of the foot, of the arch of the left leg. And we'll talk more about this later as well, about traditional alignments. So over here, we're going to keep our hips neutral. We're going to engage the legs, lift the kneecaps, and we're going to keep our shoulders down, not flaring up. And we're inhaling, we lift our arms up, and then we shift our torso slightly to the front, and exhaling, we bend downwards. So to touch the ground, and look up to the sky, to the hand. And this is the classic position of the triangle pose Trikonasana. So now let's talk about common mistakes in this position. One most common mistake in this position is for students that are lacking in the mobility and the flexibility to compensate in order to bring the hand down to touch the ground. They start to round the back and then they try to want to touch the ground like that. So most of them end up like that and they try to look up like that. And this actually is not good at all for the spine. So one way to correct this, we need to maintain our torso open always. So let's bring in a block. Let's put the block on the external of our front foot. So one way to correct this, we're going to make sure that students bend down forward and bend down with the torso still open, like that. Okay, and if you don't want to work with a block, you can put your hand on your shin, on your foot, or even on your thigh. But one thing about this part is that some students as well, they might go do more of a side bend instead of flexing the hip. So do something like that, and then they end up in a Trikonasana that looks something like that. Okay, so for this, you actually have to use the hip flexion. All right, so another issue is that some students also lean the torso slightly forwards or even backwards. So if you catch yourself doing that, please be aware of it and correct it. And another thing, another common mistake is that some students jut the hip out like that, like even from the starting position. So from here, instead of keeping the hips neutral, they jut the hip out like that as they try to go down into Trikonasana. So to correct this, push the hip in, align the hips right, and here we go. Okay, and of course, other mistakes are where the shoulders are flaring up. Okay, let me get into it. The shoulders are flaring up like that, and then students will look like they have a short neck and there's so much tension. So relax. The legs have to be active and engaged, the kneecaps lifted, but the shoulders should be distance from the ears. So stay up if you need to stay up, okay? And another modification, if you feel a lot of stretch in the hamstrings, just bend your leg, okay? So now let's get into what feels best for you. As I mentioned just now, the classic alignment of triangle pose Trikonasana is the front heel that is aligned to the arch of the back foot. So to the middle of the foot. But I'm a big believer in doing what feels best for you. And everyone's body is different. Everyone's bone structure, anatomy is different. So I don't think there's actually a logic in forcing every yoga student to follow the same alignment. So the thing to do is to please listen to your body. If this feels weird for you, just adjust yourself until you do something that feels comfortable. So your heel, front heel, can be aligned with the back heel. I mean, it's not the end of the world if your front heel is not aligned with the arch of your back foot. At the end of the day, yoga teaches us to accept ourselves. So yoga accept our bodies. Our bodies are all different. It's not always that the front heel has to align with the arch of the foot. So do what feels best for you. Another thing of this is hyperextend or not to hyperextend, or to microbend actually. So as most of you might know already, in yoga, hyperextension is a no. But there is actually a research which says that, okay, people with hypermobile joints, they hyperextend and they're working more on building the strength of the bones. And then if we microbend, we're building more the strength of the muscles to support the bones, which are also important. But actually for other normal people without hypermobile joints, if they straighten the leg totally, they're also working more on building the strength of their bones. So why not we tell the hypermobile people and the non-hypermobile people to microbend. All of us microbend, and so all of us can build more on the strength of our muscles instead of building the strength of our bones. So as to this topic, again, what feels best for you? So what I would say is that listen to your body. If you feel better hyperextending, if you have hypermobile joints, that's your call. If you feel better to microbend, that is also your call. So let's just go with what feels best for our bodies. Okay? So let me show you one last time with a microbend. And arms up, torso slightly further front. Make sure your hips are not jutting out. Engage everything. Microbend forward and we bend back, bang down, and hold on to the block. And we look to the fingers. Shoulders away from the ears. Trikonasana. Okay, come out of the position. Thank you so much. I hope this tutorial helped you and it's been useful. So I look forward to seeing you for the next tutorial. Namaste.